The name's Bond. James Bond.
You're a wizard, Harry.
I drink your milkshake.
You can't handle the truth.
You're tearing me apart, Lisa!
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Movie Mafia podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Stroud. We are back again today. We got Carter, Max, Lauren. Unfortunately, Gabby couldn't make it this week, but that's okay. So we got most of the crew together, and we're finally back. We're finally here, and we've been chomping at the bit to talk about all this movie news. So with that being said, I think we should jump right into it, guys. So first things first, everybody wants to know Loki. It has been, so far, it has been amazing. I believe it's a 6-episode series, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and we have, 4 episodes done? So we got the 5th coming out tomorrow as the time of us recording this?
Last episode next Wednesday.
Oh my god. So it's all coming way too fast. I wish this was more than 6 episodes, dude. I love it so far, but I wish it was more than 6.
Every TV show we get, they get shorter and shorter and shorter. Like, and then the last one will be a movie.
Yeah.
Honestly, I just, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to wrap all this up.
I know. There's a lot going
In
on.
2 episodes, yeah.
Basically, we get a female Loki, and he's into himself. You know you love yourself when you're into, like, another dimension version of you.
I know.
I think that's honestly, like, the funniest thing that's happened in the show so far. Like, that's such a Loki thing to happen. I love it. I was worried they wouldn't...
Makes a Loki.
Yeah.
That was funny.
I was worried, because, like, I was getting, like, the feeling that they were kind of, like, into each other in the episode where they're, like, trying to escape the, like, destroying planet. And I was thinking, there's no way that Disney's gonna be okay with, like, Loki being attracted to himself, because it's, like a weird, impossible version of incest. And I'm just so glad that they just went for it, because it's hilarious. Yeah. It's so good.
Honestly, I wouldn't be able to buy that Loki would just, one, magically transform himself into, like, a good person. Like, clearly his brother hasn't been able to do that. His parents were never able to do that. You know, they get flashes from him. He's not, like, an evil maniac now, but he's always going to be that kind of crappy person. And I wouldn't believe that anyone in this family can change his mind. And I wouldn't believe that some random girl could just come up there and all of a sudden he's head over heels in love and, you know, just like magic, the magic of love, and now he's a good guy again. But it kind of makes sense. So it's weird and ridiculous and, like, overall, like, what? Like, incest vibes, like, what is going on? In a way, it is the only way I think you can turn Loki from this bad kind of, like, this bad guy or a guy that is, like,
anti-hero.
An anti-hero, like one step in the good side but one step in the bad side, you know, 50-50. This is the only way you can kind of turn him into that other direction. So
I'll step in too and say I really loved last week's episode. I thought it was my favorite of the season so far. But also, me and Jacob had this hilarious text thread about episode 3, because I didn't really like episode 3 that much. It felt like filler to me, and especially when you watch episode 4, other than just the relationship stuff, there wasn't much story going on in 3. But you can also feel Mobius was not in the episode, and Mobius being back the whole episode, and he's my favorite part of the whole show. So the more Owen Wilson, the more Mobius we get, the better we are. And now we're going to get multiple Mobiuses maybe.
I hope so.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I thought that plot twist where, like, Loki tells them that, like, they're just other variants, but they're, like, they're brainwashed. I thought that was really good. Like, that was spicy.
That was really a twist.
Yeah.
Yeah, it adds a lot more to what Sylvie does with the enchantment, how she can pick people's brains. Adds a lot more emotion to it.
I was talking to...
There you go.
Oh, okay. I was talking to some of my friends about Loki, like, last night, and we were talking about, like, comparing it to, like, WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. More so just WandaVision, because I feel like they're more, like, comparable. And what I think makes Loki so much better than WandaVision is that WandaVision will set your expectations, and then you'd think that they would do something more with it, but then they didn't really do much with it. I feel like there were a lot of things in WandaVision we expected a big payout for and never got that payout, like specifically the Quicksilver Ralph Boner thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not as pissed off as most people are about that, but I still don't like it. what I really love about Loki is that it sets up your big expectations, and then you're like, are they gonna pay it off? And then they don't really pay it off, and then instead they do something totally different that just throws the show in a whole different direction. They've done it like twice like that so far, where the first 2 episodes I was thinking, oh, it's gonna be Mobius and Loki trying to catch the Loki variant for the whole show. And then Loki follows the variant through the portal, and it takes a whole different direction. And then I was like, okay, so it's going to be about them taking down the TVA, and then they're going to get to the Timekeepers, blah, 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 whatever. And then they get to the Timekeepers, and Loki and Mobius are pruned, and now the show's going in another totally different direction. It just feels like, instead of, like, me, like, I don't know, outrunning the show, like, they're always, like, 10 steps ahead of me. It feels so fresh. It's so good. It's probably my favorite thing from Marvel since Endgame, which I guess isn't saying much because we've only gotten a Spider-Man movie and the 3 shows, but I love it. So good.
Yeah, and I do want to add to the Kang the Conqueror stuff that I believe will be in the show in the last episode. As the person who's running the TVA, I hope would be awesome because everyone's kind of expecting it to happen. Kang's the guy who's going to be introduced. Well, we think introduced in Ant-Man 3 as the main villain. But I think he's the one running the TVA because in the comics, he has a relationship with Ravonna Renslayer. So we're just hoping here, Kang, because they chose Ravonna Renslayer for a reason. There's a lot of other judges that they could have picked. So I hope Kang is in, if not tonight's episode, next week's episode as well.
Definitely.
So what do you think is the real reason why so-and-so created the TVA, like to preserve some sacred timeline? Like, what do you think is the real...
I'm not familiar with the comics, so I don't really know, honestly.
Yeah, because Kang's is like a time traveler who goes into different timelines. I just don't know why he... I wonder, maybe... I don't know, creating his own. Yeah,
maybe he's setting up his own timeline just so that, like, he's more in control of things, I guess. Like, maybe everything that's happening so far is leading to a point where he can, like, more easily, like, do whatever he's trying to do.
Yeah, because it's crazy. Like some of the variants, they're like, "Well, you walked the wrong direction. You're
exactly."
It's kind of ridiculous.
And this is a totally uninvolved in the Kang thing. So if you want to finish up talking about that, I could say it after if you want to do that.
No, I was just also going to bring up that people think Miss Minutes could be the person who's right. Like people have theories about who's the actual. People think even like Ravonna Renslayer is like a Loki variant. Like I've heard some crazy theories.
Ooh.
Well, the thing about Miss Minutes, Tara Strong voices her. You probably know the name from, like a bunch of DC animated things. I think she's in Harley Quinn. She did Maven and Teen Titans. But So the crocodile Loki that we see in the post-credit scene for episode 4, he's apparently from the same universe as Spider-Ham. And I would absolutely love to see Spider-Ham in the MCU. Like, I would seriously lose my mind. Like, that would be the best thing that has happened. I don't even care about Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield being in Spider-Man 3. If they're in it, I would rather see Spider-Ham.
How dare you, sir?
I want to see Spider-Ham so bad. I want to see Spider-Ham.
And then you could do a Spider-Ham collab with Spider-Pig from The Simpsons.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god, well, I have to control myself because I'm about to get in a tangent and argue with Carter right now.
Yeah.
Spider-Ham over Tobey Maguire?
Look, I don't want to get into this rabbit hole right now because we do this a lot. We have a shorter show today. But I think that at the end of the day, bringing Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire into Spider-Man 3, if they're in it too much, is a bad idea. Mostly because of the villains. I won't get into it now. If we want to do it next week, that's totally fine.
Okay. All I need to say is I agree with you. It's three is a crowd. It's too many. So let's bring Andrew in. Let's bring Tobey in, and let's just kick Tom Holland out. He wasn't that good anyway.
What?
Okay.
No, he's the best Spider-Man.
Why would you say that?
He's the worst.
Holland is the best Spider-Man. In my opinion, Holland is the best Spider-Man.
The worst.
He feels the most like Peter Parker and the most like Spider-Man.
Oh my
Andrew
god,
Garfield is better
Iron
than
Man
Tom Holland.
clone is so unoriginal.
Yeah.
It hurts. But
let's not go on the tangent though.
At least Tom Holland doesn't look like a 40-year-old man. Cough, cough. Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. Cough, cough. He looks like a teenager.
No, he doesn't.
Peter Parker's a teenager.
He looks like he's 12. It's the most fake romance between him and Zendaya's character. It's literally so unbelievable.
I wouldn't say it's fake, but I mean, it doesn't totally feel deserved. I don't know.
Tobey Maguire and Mary Jane and Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone?
No.
Way infinitely better.
Yeah.
No,
You're gonna get me. Now you're gonna.
yeah, no,
you're
wait,
gonna
we
get me
should
on a
stop.
tangent.
We should stop.
Ah.
We
Okay,
should stop.
okay.
Please.
Well, I do before we move off Loki. Before we move off Loki, I do want to talk about. I think you guys might have touched on it briefly, but the fact that Mobius and and Loki got pruned. I
Yep.
thought that
I got so scared.
Yeah, I
I
saw
got so
Loki get
scared.
pruned, and
Once
I was getting.
when
When they do
Infinity
Mobius,
War
you're not
flashbacks.
sure if they'll
I
be
was like,
back. Once they do Loki,
no.
you're like, he'll be back. It's okay. He'll be
Yeah,
back.
he'll be back. I was like,
Yeah, for like 5 minutes, I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
I thought they
That
were
was
gonna
a
go.
hard
I
scene
thought
to
they were gonna go with
watch,
Sylvie as
honestly.
Loki from now on. I was in shambles, dude.
yeah, I was about to like burn the show. I was like, oh my god, no more Owen Wilson. I was like, this is not happening right now.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I what I'm most interested in is obviously where all these questions, we have to wait until episode 5 and 6 to get the full answer for them. But I'm so interested in seeing what is going on. If the those like what were they called, the timekeepers or whatever, right? They were they're just
timekeepers.
androids. They're like just puppets. So who is actually in control? You guys talk about Kang the Conqueror, maybe. Who's in control? And when people get pruned, what does that mean? Are they where do they go? They go to another reality.
Yeah,
how
it
does that
looks
make
like they
sense?
go to
What
like an
happened?
abandoned timeline. I think.
With all versions of themselves. All the
Yeah.
versions of
Then
themselves.
also-
That have been pruned. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I would
also,
use my variants, like other versions of me. That would be fun.
no, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
And
The premise of the show is such gold.
if
But
they
also,
get-
like,
go ahead.
I was also going to bring up, like, the heartbreak of Sylvie, who you could tell got taken for no reason in the opening scene of the last episode. So her character is also really great so far.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could get behind the idea of timekeepers, like this whole big thing. But
It's not, though.
just but now if it's just Kang the Conqueror, whoever it might be, I need
That'd
an
be
explanation as to how they are that powerful.
It's
Like Infinity Stones don't matter anymore. They can just pluck people
Yeah,
out
yeah.
from existence. They know all of the future, where every single person ends up. How the whole timeline's supposed to be. Who could be that powerful? This is like
it's
this makes
either
Thanos look like
Kang or a
shit.
Loki variant. Like
Yeah.
that's all that
I
would
hope
make
it's Kang.
sense.
They
No,
put
yeah,
all the
definitely.
things- They put all the pieces together for. This is not like Mephisto. Like they've already cast an actor to be Kang. Like
Yep.
he's going to be in the MCU, and Jonathan Majors is fantastic. So I'm just hoping we get to see it. And a cameo. I'm not asking for a big role. I'm
Yeah.
saying like a cameo at the end of like a post credit scene or something.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Like Thanos popping up at the end of Avengers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or something small
Yeah.
like that, so we know what's coming.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think there's a good shot we get that. Regardless, Loki so far has been amazing. I personally thought when we got our whole lineup of shows, I thought Loki would be the best, and I think it's pretty much holding that. At least it is for me, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Thus far, I do think it is shaping up to be the best show Marvel's put out this past year.
Definitely.
But
Yeah.
with that being said, I do want to shift gears into another show here, and of course, that's Bad Batch. So the Bad Batch, we had a lot of criticisms. It started off really strong, and then we had some criticisms as to what's going on with Crosshair. We're getting filler episodes, storylines that aren't really concluding themselves, and we're just looking for more. And I thought these past couple episodes have been quite good. I mean, our most recent episode 10.
Filler.
A little bit of filler,
Yeah.
but we did get a chance.
The 3
8 and
before.
9 though.
Yeah,
8 and 9.
Yeah.
before those were
We missed
excellent.
something big.
Yeah, I do think out of the filler episode that we got this past week, I did like the fact that they're starting to show more of Omega's abilities. Obviously
Yeah.
they're all enhanced clones, and each one of them has their own set ability. I think it was pretty obvious that Omega is the smartest, or one of the smartest of the clones, but we never really get to see that in action. And I thought we got to see a little bit more of an episode that's focuses on her as well as the clones, as opposed to her just being like a cog in the machine.
And I wanted to add to that, my favorite part of last week's episode was when like Hunter was giving out everyone's orders on what to do, and he read out Omega's even though Omega wasn't even there. The fact that he's already got her in her I thought that was such a great little piece of dialogue that I loved last week.
Definitely.
I think it goes to show that Omega isn't just the dead weight that the person they have to save. You know, like the Princess Peach. Like, you gotta get help her. Oh my God, what's going on?
Yeah.
Someone took her. Oh, what are we gonna do? You know, like she can actually.
Which is how she felt in the first few episodes.
Yeah, I think rightly so. I mean, she's a kid, but I think transitioning from that to we're starting to see her become a valued part of the team, a crucial part. Definitely like the team, shaping up to be the team's strategist. Like something like that. I think that's an important role, and I'm glad that if she's gonna stick around and be a permanent part of the team, that she has some sort of role and some sort of fit. And before I think she's like struggled with that.
And she's like a distant. I don't know how you call it relative to Boba, because there's like she's like they're two of whatever. So I wonder how that works.
They're basically sisters. Like the only difference siblings. Yeah. The only difference is that Jango Fett took Boba in as his son. That's the only difference, really. So it's honestly we're gonna see Boba at some point in the show. It's either gonna be the end of this season or next season. There's no way they could make that immediate relation between Boba. They even name dropped him when they did that. There's no way they could do that and not bring him in. And just to add to that, before I watched it's episode 8 where Cad Bane has the duel, right? Before I watched that episode, I heard that there was a major character return in the episode, and I thought it was going to be Boba. So I'm watching this episode the whole time, just like holding my breath, like waiting for Boba to show up. And then you just hear Cad Bane's voice, it like hands up. This was like the first time in forever that I genuinely gasped at a TV show or a movie. I'm literally like sitting here and I went, I was like, oh my God, that's insane. Yeah. It fits so well. It's so good. And then his shootout with
Fennec.
I'm blanking on her name right now.
Fennec.
Fennec. In episode 9, so good. Oh,
I was literally telling people, I was texting people the week after we got the Cad Bane. I was like, can you imagine if you got Cad Bane and Fennec like fighting off? And that was that week's episode. I was like, yes, this is happening right now.
It's so good. It's so
good. Seth Green does the voice of the his droid too. And back in Clone Wars, also hilarious in the 9th episode with the whole hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder because Boba Fett's coming out December. Like, is Omega going to be live action in like?
Oh, I hope not.
I wonder what they're going to do with Omega after this season.
Because apparently the Book of Boba Fett's going to be like kind of anthology where like it's not just taking place like at the point we see now. It's going to be stories in between like the original trilogy and like maybe like him getting out of the Sarlacc pit and everything. If they do Omega in the show, she needs to be adult because there's that gap, there's that possibility where maybe we'd get something like pre-New Hope or around that time, and she'd still be pretty young at that point. And I think the last thing Star Wars needs to do right now is take a gamble with like a child actor, because Star Wars and child actors have a very bad history, and I do not think it would go well at all if we have like a 12-year-old playing Omega in Book of Boba Fett. Like, I mean, I wouldn't have any problem with that as long as like it's solid, but there's so many Star Wars fans are so toxic. There's so many people out there that are gonna lose their minds literally just if there is a child in the show, no matter how good or bad they are.
I think if it was me, I do think it'd be cool to include Omega, but not as an actual actor. I think it should be like two people are referencing it, or Boba goes somewhere and he's looking at something and her name is written in like a book. Like just something like to the side, or like two people reference and they're like, do we have Omega? And it's like, yeah, she's in Storage Bay 9 or something. You know what I mean? Like nothing that we actually see. They don't introduce a character. They don't have to develop a character, but like a tease to say, hey, this exists, and she exists. She's here somewhere.
And I also think she would be in the live action, like especially Book of Boba Fett, where I assume they're going to be chapters and very different episodes won't connect. She would be in one episode. I don't think she would be in a consistent person in the show. Yeah.
They need to meet at some point.
They do, and they set it up, and they're setting up a lot of good stuff. I wonder what, like, the Crosshair was such a badass. He got his ass kicked.
Yeah.
He was still bandaged up, going after them. I mean, it was great. Crosshair has killed it the last couple weeks.
Yeah. No, yeah, I'm so excited to see where they take the end of the series, because like right now, like with this week's episode, I'm kind of back to just being like, okay, it's gonna be filler for a few episodes, but then it's gonna go huge in the last 2 or 3 probably.
They paid off Sid's debt. I think they're done. with all the doing the other jobs. I think they're gonna this is gonna be main story. I think.
That'd be
'Cause I think
great. I would love that.
Because that's what happened last episode. Omega did the games, which paid
That's
off
right. Yeah.
the debt. So I think they're good now from just doing jobs for Sid.
I hope so. I just want to see what they're doing with. I feel like probably like the end of this season is just going to be trying to get Crosshair back and take out his inhibitor chip. Is kind of what I feel like the main conflict of like the end of this season is. But I just want to know where they're taking this because it can't just be one season. We need to see where the Bad Batch goes, and they either need to die or I don't know. Like I'm just itching to figure because like the Omega thing is huge. Like I don't know. There's so many things that need to be explained. Yeah, exactly. Like there has to be more seasons. This has to be a multi-season show, and I'm very.
It is flying by though. It is flying by. These 11 episodes so far. I'm shocked how much it's flying by.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree with that. I do. Part of me, I do. It kind of sucks going from 2 or 3 straight amazing episodes, and then I'm like, oh yeah, let me load up the Bad Batch this week, and I just get a filler episode. I personally, I am not a fan of a show having filler episodes that comes out 1 episode at a time every week. If you're gonna have filler episodes, drop it all at once. If you're gonna be like Loki, I personally, I know that Max might disagree with this, but I personally think every episode of Loki has been amazing, and I'm okay with that. 6 episodes once a week, for the most part, I'm loving every episode. That's cool. But if you're gonna have as many filler episodes as Bad Batch has had, I kind of wish they would drop it all at once.
What I'm though too is that 16 episodes. They can't. It's tough to do main story for that many episodes. That's what Clone Wars was though too. So.
And not just that, but Bad Batch has way more main characters to deal with than Loki does. Like, the filler episodes, they're definitely filler. They don't push the main story forward, but typically they at least develop 1 or 2 of the main characters just a little bit. Like, we've been getting a lot of Omega development in the filler episodes. We've been getting some, like, Hunter and Wrecker. We haven't gotten much for Tech and Echo so far, but like the filler episodes are filler and they don't go toward the main story, but they like serve the purpose to just make us care more about the characters. Because if we didn't have those filler episodes, I definitely wouldn't care about his Omega
and world building
as much
too.
as I do.
And world building
definitely,
too.
Yeah, I mean,
I see your point.
That's fair.
It's 25 minutes though. That's what I kind of feel like. Like if it's filler, cool.
Yeah.
I wasted 25 minutes of my. It's not like and Star Wars filler for me is not bad filler, so I could watch it without question.
Yeah, I could definitely watch it. I do love how like Netflix, for example, releases all their episodes at once, and maybe that's a little bit greedy, but
I'm not a fan of it.
I personally I really do like it. And I just watch it at my own pace and I figure it out.
I think it puts too much binge pressure on. Like when something comes out on Netflix, it makes it so hard to avoid spoilers for the rest of the thing. So like you got to binge it so quick. And I like binging some things, but unless I'm like really really into it, I can't binge it. Like I gotta space it out. And that's for me,
that's why I love the idea of the Fear Street trilogy, because you get to watch the movie, then you have a week to talk about it, get the next movie, get the next week to talk. Like I think that's cool, but I don't like all the episodes at once because once you watch, like that's why I love Stranger Things. But after a week after it came out, no one talks about the show anymore.
Yep.
Like Loki has continuous talk. Bad Batch has continuous talk each week because it's week to week.
Yep. Disney locked down the schedule.
Yeah.
It's better for the show.
It's
better for the show that it's week to week.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. I'm still more of a fan of dropping all the episodes, but that's more just how I like watching shows, and it's kind of personal preference. Yeah. But I do, with that being said, I do also want to do another transition to another show we wanted to review, Rick and Morty. So I know that Carter has watched the first 2 episodes. Right now they have 3 episodes out. So far, I am loving it. I know Rick and Morty seems to be it always seems to be a little controversial. They have like a cult following and a cult fan base. And then there's also a lot of people that despise the show and won't watch it just, because of something someone said or, just like the show being a little bit, sometimes the show can be a little bit much. It can go a little farther than need be. But regardless, this 5th season so far, I think has been amazing. I mean, every episode for me, I am loving. I won't spoil episode 3 because Carter hasn't seen it yet. But for episodes 1 and 2, Carter, what did you think?
Look, honestly, with this season, before I start talking about this season, I just want to like you said, how it's kind of like a controversial show, where like I think a lot of people see the way that some of the fan base acts, and it turns them off from it entirely. It's a lot like Star Wars, honestly, where like some Star Wars fans are too into Star Wars and they're ridiculous. Like some Star Wars fans are seriously some of the worst people ever, and it's the same thing with Rick and Morty, where like it's Rick and Morty it's a really funny show. It's one of the best animated like comedies of all time, in my opinion. But like you have these people who get too into it and think that like it's that thing where it's like, oh, it's such a smart show, you'd never get it. It's not that smart of a show. Anybody with like a half of a brain can understand most of the jokes in Rick and Morty. And I think that's kind of what the problem with seasons 3 and a little bit of 4 was. I feel like they kind of toned it down. Like they weren't trying as... I don't know, maybe this is unfair, but it just didn't feel as like fresh and like different as seasons 1 and 2 did. Season 5 entirely different. This feels like they're in the writer's room, they pitch exactly what they want to do, and they write it, they voice it, they animate it, and then they put it on TV. It just feels like something so different that you would never see. Specifically episode 2 of season 5. This is, like, if you described this episode to somebody, they would be like, I'm not watching 21 minutes of that. But if you watch the episode, you will be laughing your ass off the entire time. I literally could not stop laughing watching season 5 episode 2. So good. Hilarious. I love it. And the first episode was so funny too. What was his name? Mr. Nimbus.
Yes.
He controls the police. You should know this, Summer. It's so funny.
I
So
thought
good.
that first episode, for anybody interested, season 5, episode 1 is free to everybody on YouTube. It's just completely free, and I believe you can get Rick and Morty also on like Hulu, or you can get it on like Adult Swim. It seems like Adult Swim, stuff like that. But season 5, episode 1, the first episode was so good, and one of my favorite episodes so far. And I was just blown away, like just like you said, how fresh it was. I've always liked Rick and Morty. I've never had any issue with Rick and Morty, but this season especially. Starting off with how ridiculous Mr. Nimbus was, and then when Morty kept going through, they had a portal in the garage that when you went through the portal, everything in that universe aged much, much quicker. So minutes were like decades. Minutes in real time were decades in this other universe. So they went through the portal and dropped some wine and then left. And then when they returned, it was like, hundreds of years old aged wine. So, and they were using the wine to give to Mr. Nimbus as a drink, as his favorite drink or something. So Rick is just like, okay, Morty, all I need you to do is get this wine. He goes through the portal, and there's a villager guy there. This looks like this is set, hundreds and hundreds of years ago. There's a villager, very peaceful, underdeveloped civilization. The guy comes and picks up the wine, helps Morty bring it to his dimension. They go through the portal, drop the wine off. Morty thanks him. Then the guy goes back to his dimension. But when the guy goes back, it's like 60, 70 years later. All his wife is dead. His kid, and his unborn child, is now like 40 years old, and his entire life is just completely gone and ripped away from him. And how they keep doing that is insane. I was laughing
gets so good.
hard.
I don't want to get into spoilers for the episode beyond that, because I think the opener to season 5 is just like unbelievably funny, and the way everything ends, so good. And honestly, with it being on YouTube for free, I think this is like the perfect chance for anyone who hasn't given Rick and Morty a shot, or maybe was into it like early on and kind of gave up. I think everybody should just go watch that first episode of season 5. It's free on YouTube. You literally have nothing to lose. It's 20 minutes. If you don't like it, whatever, but you probably will. And it's just so good. It's hilarious. I love it.
Definitely. I strong recommendation from me as well. And I know we're having a little bit of a shorter episode for today, so I do want to wrap up the episode with Max. I know you saw the latest movie for the Purge, or the Forever Purge, and what was your thoughts on the movie?
Yeah, so now this is the 5th movie in the Purge franchise, which just came out this past weekend. The film's about these 2 immigrant people who came from Mexico. They're moving to America. They work for someone who works on a ranch, all of this stuff, and then the purge happens. But for some reason, after when the purge is over, which is for 12 hours, everything is legal. Once the purge ended, there is a group of people that for some reason are taking over America called the Forever Purgers, who want the purge to go on beyond the actual 12-hour thing of the movie. Not a big fan of the franchise, and I really did not like the movie. If you know what the purge movies are, you might have some fun with it, but for me, they throw out so many political stuff at you, like white supremacy, racism, class, immigration. They're all in the movie, but you don't know if you should take the movie seriously, because even someone dies in this movie by a Wilhelm scream, and if you know Star Wars, you know that's a famous scream. So someone in the Purge dies with a Wilhelm scream. So you don't know, they're throwing you a lot of serious stuff at you, but you're also not supposed to take the movie seriously. So I had no idea what to make of the movie, so I really didn't like it. For me, it's like bottom of the franchise, not the worst, but definitely not the best of the franchise has to offer. But I know some people had fun with it. I did not at all. It's not scary. It's not even a horror franchise anymore. It's more of an action movie now. It's amazing where the franchise went from a home invasion horror movie to this. But if you know what you're going to go into, you might have some fun with this one. But I personally did not.
I'm still digesting the fact that they put the Wilhelm scream in this movie. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen any of the Purge movies yet, but are they comedy, or is it just like supposed to be horror? It was originally
horror, then it was action horror, and now it's pretty much just action.
That doesn't work if you're not like trying to make something that's like funny or like if you're trying to make a straight horror movie or a straight action movie, especially if it's supposed to have like political commentary. You cannot put the Wilhelm. That would throw me out of the movie so quick.
It does. Yeah, it pulls you out. They have also a lot of false jump scares. So if you like just false jump scares, these are not even real jump scares. False jump scares, then you'll like the movie. But for me, I don't like false jump scares, and didn't really help with the experience.
Wow.
Man, we need good new horror movies. When's the Halloween Kills coming out?
That's October.
I thought you said good. I thought you said good horror movies.
No, yeah, no, I know. I'm not expecting much from it. I just want more Michael Myers bullshit. I don't know. We missed the trailer, and I want to talk about the trailer, but we obviously don't have time. So, just very quick, the trailer showed way too much.
Yeah.
Watched the trailer, felt like I watched half the movie.
Yeah, but
bad idea.
Fear Street came out. I'll review part 1 and part 2 next week. I think Carter might watch it too. So next week we'll do Fear Street part 1 and part 2. So that'll be next week too. That's horror.
Sounds good.
I'm looking forward to it.
With that being said, I think I'm gonna wrap up the episode here. A little bit of a shorter episode, but we will be back next week. We'll be talking about Black Widow coming out this Friday. More Rick and Morty, more Loki, more Bad Batch. We're gonna have a jam-packed episode next week.
This is a great summer.
Absolutely,
so much content.
I cannot wait. And with that being said, I'm going to wrap it up here. So I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.